What's going on, family? What's going on, family? It is time for the Beatdown. Welcome to Monday. So, thank you all for coming in and joining with me today. We're going to have a good show. Don't know how long we're going to be here, but we're going to talk about some things, get some information taken care of, have a little bit of fun, and then bounce. You know how it is. So relax. Hopefully you have a good time. Chime in, comment. We'll get your comments on and talk about them. Because trust me, this show, I know it. It's not about us. It's about you guys. So we really want to know how you feel about things. So if you let me know, then I can get it on the show. And we'll be good to go. You know? All right, so we're going to jump into it. We'll be right back after the intro. Hit it, baby. What's going on, family? You know what time it is. It is Beatdown time. We are here. Happy Monday. We had a busy weekend of fights. For those of you who don't know Bare Knuckle FC, you need to get to know Bare Knuckle FC. I was guilty of thinking that it was still the same stuff I was exposed to in the backyards and in the bars. And no. They actually have their own set of rules. They got a round ring, which is actually a ring because it's round, which is, go figure. Very good card this weekend. The Red Belly reminded me it was on, and it was good. So I think the Badger is going to deal with Amanda Nunez in Bare Knuckle FC because he didn't want to deal with her in UFC rules. So we'll find out from him if this is what's going down.
In regards to what?
You and Nunez in Bare Knuckle FC.
Oh, okay. I thought we had a story. So, bro, we didn't get to cover the Bare Knuckle fight that happened this weekend, though. So since we started with that,
so we're just disregarding
bro,
it. Okay, go ahead.
Chop Corley quit on the stool, bro. And I don't want to use the word quit, but yeah, that's kind of what happened. He said he knew when his body couldn't take anymore. Bro, I don't know how to feel about this, but we talk about when you're obviously a past your prime fighter, right? And then when you turn into an old man that fights, right? And that seems to be what happened. That seems to be what happened with Chop Friday night, bro, because he's been still actively having boxing matches. Well, I ain't gonna say active like that, but he's fought a couple times these past few years, bro. And to get into BKFC and don't answer the bell for the round, bro, I just find that pretty interesting.
Listen, it's a whole different animal in there. You know that. You can box because you're familiar with the constraints of boxing. You're familiar with what you can do in boxing. You're familiar with what they can do to you in boxing. The fact that I think that young man who he fought really opened his eyes to where he was because he charged him. He threw him down, which is not legal, but, you know, he threw him down. He would lock up and he was punching in the clinch where most boxers – you have a few that punch in the clinch, but most of them, if you clinch with me, I'm going to clinch with you so they can break us up and then we can reset. Well, in Bare Knuckle FC, when they grabbed him, they were punching him. Or if he went to clinch, the guy was their techniques he was using to get up under there and start throwing uppercuts, start throwing hooks, stuff that he wasn't used to. I don't know what his training was like. I guarantee they didn't make him uncomfortable in his training. And he was very uncomfortable in that fight because he couldn't use the skill set that he has, that made him so successful, that made him a world champion in boxing. He couldn't use that skill set in this fight. I don't know if it's just because he was old. I think it was just because he was really uncomfortable. He hadn't experienced that before in his life. Not even in the street, fights don't go that long. So, but in a ring, and a referee's letting somebody hold you and punch you.
Boy, here's the thing, bro. So I hear what you're saying because there are these subtle nuances, right? But I'm willing to bet, bro, that if you got in the ring with someone that was a bare knuckle fighter, even with the small nuances in the rule, it's still a stand up hand to hand fight. Mm-hmm. Which is why I expect more of these boxers who can no longer get big paydays. I can see them coming here and doing well. I'm intrigued by this fight in particular, bro. Not so much because of the rules, right? Because Chop Chop at this point has been fighting longer than his opponent had been alive, probably. This is,
Yeah.
So.
Well, look, he's a friend of the show. Invite him on so we can ask him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I definitely try to get him on. But I'm just thinking that when you get old, the first two things that leave you are your reaction time and your legs. And when legs go, bro, then you can't really generate a whole lot of power, and you become a target too, right? So I don't know, man. I didn't expect that, bro. Someone asked me who they should bet with on that fight, and I told them they should bet with Chop Chop, bro. I owe Reggie Barnett, bro. Like, that's crazy. Well, no, actually, I don't owe Reggie Barnett because I don't. But I'm just saying, like, I would have thought that Chop Chop was going to win this fight, bro.
Again, Reggie was also a good fight. I don't know if Reggie's the one you want to jump into first in Bare Knuckle FC.
Okay.
You always talk about soft touches, and that you talk about soft touches for champions. I'm like, if I'm Chop Chop's advisors, I'm like, give me somebody who's like run of the mill. Give me somebody who's a good fighter, but not on the top tier. Let me get my feet wet. Let me get in here, make a couple dollars, and see if I can adapt well. That's what I.
Yeah. So, I hear what you're saying, but I don't think if you're a boxer, bro, or you're coming from a big promotion like Bellator or UFC, I think when you come into bare knuckle, I don't think you view them as being on your level. Right?
Correct.
I don't think Chop Chop, and we can make the same case with Paige Van Zandt, right? I don't think Chop Chop, because you gotta remember, bro, even looking at it, right? If you're a boxer and you're looking at a bare knuckle fight, you're thinking there's not much skill here, right? Because when you look at it, it's really, let's be honest, it's not a whole lot of skill there. There is some, but not a whole lot, especially when you compare it to a boxer, someone that's accomplished and is acclaimed as Chop Chop, right? So
you keep going back to that,
know,
but I think it's a whole different world when you get in there. That's why when I can't remember Bobby's last name, he was the undefeated bare knuckle fighter that fought Roy Jones Jr., but Roy made him fight him in a standard boxing match. Roy wasn't going to fight him in bare knuckle FC because one, you have the difference in the hand wraps versus the gloves. It feels different when you get hit. Two, again, there's no clinching technique in boxing to where you can clinch me for a minute and punch the whole time. And it feels different getting hit with a glove and getting hit with a hand wrap.
And listen, let's be clear too. That works both ways, bro. You definitely get cut more, and it definitely hurts. It's a different level of pain. But bro, people break their hands all the time. When you watch these BKFC fights, out of the 10 fights on that card, boy, you're gonna come up with 3 or 4 broken hands at the end of the night. So there's a lot of risk on the other side too, which is what I guess kind of gives the sport its thing, right?
But if I'm used to that, if I know that's a risk, if I've had that happen to me before, I learned different ways to hit you. Like you wouldn't fight somebody the same way now that you did when you were on the playground at elementary school. You're not going to hit somebody the same way because you know you can break your wrist with you have with at your I'm saying well at your age at your the power that you have now, if you punch somebody the wrong way, you can do more damage to yourself than you can to them. But you didn't know this. I'm assuming you didn't know this in junior high school and fourth, fifth grade elementary school. You just figure, hey, swing these things, and when you connect, it's gonna hurt him more than it's gonna hurt you. I still remember my first boxing match and understanding afterwards how much my hands hurt, and I was like, crap, you know what I'm saying? What's going on? I called my boxing coach and woke him up because at 2:00 in the morning, my hands, there were areas of my hands I felt that I didn't know existed. I know it sounds crazy, but it's just a level of discipline, a level of maturity that you, and Chop, this was his first fight. Paige Van Zandt, they didn't put Paige in against a cupcake. You work with Trey. He won, but didn't he hurt his hand?
No, he tore his knee.
Oh, he tore his knee.
The dude was falling forward and grabbed him instead of just going down and tackled him and tore his knee up.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, but we know boxers who have hurt their hands severely in
absolutely
in sparring or in the fight itself.
Hand issues.
Yeah.
Or just have had brittle hands. Yeah.
Now you imagine you don't have that glove on, which, like you said, protects you almost as much as the other fighter. So with these hand wraps, you're gonna get more damage to your hand. I mean, my coach was like, "You'll be okay. You didn't break anything. You'll be okay. It's sore. It might be spasming." He told me what to do. And he went back to sleep, and it worked. Like it didn't stop hurting right away, but it worked. It was an uncomfortable situation. It was something that it was foreign to me. And when you look at Chop in that square, really in that circle, you could tell that this environment was very unfamiliar to him. It was very uncomfortable. It doesn't take away his greatness as a boxer, but he couldn't get the distance that he needed. He didn't have the techniques to get the tools to get the distance that he needed. He didn't know what to do, bro. And that was, to me, from round 1 through round 4, he did not know what to do. And I give him kudos to say, you know what? I'm probably just going to get more and more damaged if I go through round 5. I don't care what people say about me. This is my body, and I got to live in it. So he quit on the stool. To me, there's no shame in that because you gave 4 great rounds, the best you could give, because we could see how limited you were and how uncomfortable you were. And you were making this guy look better and better. Just get out. And he got out.
Yeah.
I hope that's Jomo walking around and not your date.
I wanna go more along the lines of I'm gonna go with Chop just got old that night. I hear what you're saying about the small nuances of bare knuckle. But it's a stand-up fist fight. And if I'm a boxer, I like my odds against anybody. I don't care what your background is. If we're standing up and it's a fist fight. As long as they ain't got me chained to you and we ain't got one hand strapped to the other, I got like a chance. So it'll be interesting to see how other boxers transition as they move. Because I know I've seen Tara Brown talked about it. I think I saw someone where Steve Cunningham was talking about it. So we'll see how the other boxers fare when they get in there. We'll see if they have some of the same complaints. I don't know. I don't know about that because Trey's transition from MMA into bare knuckle,
whole different
it was easy
game
for him. He said it's made it easier. He can only punch me now. I can deal with that.
Yeah.
So,
but he's coming from somewhere totally different. He's just like Raquel Miller and Tierra Brown were like, they would feel so uncomfortable in an MMA cage. Trey's coming from somewhere where he's comfortable in an MMA cage. To me, MMA is closer the strikers in MMA are closer to the skill you'll find in bare knuckle FC.
Yeah, because they're not boxers. It's not because they're better strikers than boxers. They're just not boxers. So yeah.
So when you come in, it's just like, all right, the same argument that you made. Most people said the same thing about boxers going to MMA. Oh man, all they got to do is learn takedown defense. They're fine. They should be able to outstrike the strikers because they're boxers. But there are wrinkles to that game. So it doesn't translate that way. Wrestlers do better coming to MMA than boxers. I'm not making it up. You go look at it. You'll see it. Wrestlers do much better coming to MMA than boxers because it's a different world now.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that. And my reason for saying that Trey's thought the transition was easier is because they're only punches. I don't have to worry about takedowns or kicks. Mm-hmm. I've been boxing for a long time, so this is easy. I think for boxers, going to bare knuckle, they'll be like, well, as long as he don't windmill me to death, he doesn't know how to throw punches straight. I can see them coming. We'll see, bro. We'll see how other boxers do. And listen, we'll get other boxers on after their first matches and ask them, hey, was bare knuckle harder than boxing or was it easier? And see what they got to say. So, interesting.
What else you got?
So, bro, we talked about our disappointment with the Derek Brunson, Kevin Holland main event that lived up to be nothing.
Yeah.
Do you still want to talk a little bit about that, bro? Are you ready to transition to what we got going on this week? The big boys throwing down.
There's nothing left to really talk about on that Brunson Holland fight. I mean, yeah, we can move on because it was very disappointing, and I think at first I was very disappointed in Holland. That was my big thing. I was disappointed the fact that you're still talking trash from the bottom and you're getting beat. You're not doing anything to advance your position. You're letting him just lay on you and really not do much. You didn't go for any submissions. And then when you were up on your feet where you had the strength, you would think, you didn't do anything with that. And I became more and more disappointed with Brunson because I understand why you're not getting title fights. Because you should have dispatched with Holland easy. And you didn't go for any submissions. So, yeah, no, there's really nothing left there. We've beaten that dead horse and got all the meat off the carcass.
Well, so here we are, 3 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Francis Ngannou, Stipe Miocic.
Mm-hmm.
You don't like this fight.
Mm-mm.
I don't like this fight for the sake of I don't know how much Stipe has improved. But
you mean Francis?
I'm okay with this fight. France, I'm sorry. I'm okay with this fight though because I'm going to watch it. So now that I know we both gonna be watching it, what are we thinking on a Monday? What are we looking at here for this fight?
I have not seen any footage of Francis improving. I keep hearing, oh, he's got more wrinkles to his game. Haven't seen it. I haven't seen one new technique Francis has in his last 4 fights. Has he taken anybody down? Has he worked in the clinch? No, he just comes out and pummels people. He's doing the same thing he did prior to the Stipe fight originally. From what I've seen. Now, I'm saying maybe you saw something I didn't. But most of the people are afraid of him before the bell rings. You can go back to the Rosenstrike fight. Rosenstrike was afraid of Francis before the bell rang. And you could tell because he just backed straight up. Kept his guard open and backed straight up. And Francis just came in and decimated him. Stipe's not going to do that. Stipe showed you in the first fight how he was going to beat you. And now Stipe seemed like has added a little bit more to his game. Or we've had to see more with him dealing with Daniel Cormier three times.
Okay, go ahead. I'm here. I'm with you. Go ahead.
So, I mean, since then, Stipe has lost his belt. came back and regained. Well, Cormier gave away the second fight, and Stipe came out and literally beat Cormier. Literally beat him in the third fight. To make me feel that at this point, there is no one that can beat Stipe in the heavyweight division. Now, if Francis gets a paw on you, yeah, he can rock you. But what nuances do you have, Francis, that are going to allow you to hit Stipe Miocic?
Well, bro, if you remember, okay, in the first fight, Stipe did get hit. Now, he didn't get hit clean, but he got hit enough. He had a nice purple eye, right? Some nice, the thing with Stipe was he wore Francis out, right? Because what Francis could not do over the course of 5 rounds was repeatedly get up after being taken down, repeatedly, right? Each time he got taken down, just take a little more gas out the tank, right? But what happens if Francis, 3 years later or 2 years later, how long it's been, is a much more improved fighter because he's a much more relaxed fighter and he's a better conditioned fighter. Now, what if Stipe can take me down, but he can't take me down 6 times like he did in the first fight? He only take me down twice now because my takedown defense is better. Now I can throw more punches and maybe I can land more than 5 or 6. Maybe I land 8 or 10. Maybe I get that one punch that puts him down. I think.
And maybe I eat some Fruit Loops and a unicorn pops out my butt.
But that's not for you.
That's as likely as
that's anatomically impossible. Remember, I didn't say that Francis became a wrestler. What did I just say? I say a more relaxed and composed fighter and a more conditioned fighter. Mm-hmm. That's all I said. Because if he's better conditioned, now, like I said, maybe Stipe only can take him down 2 times. Remember, Francis is clearly stronger than Stipe. We saw that. So maybe he can't take me down as many times as he could the first fight. And maybe because I've been dealing with wrestling norm, maybe I'm more relaxed when I get taken. I don't panic as much. I don't stiffen up as much. I'm talking about those differences. I'm talking about that he can compete with Stipe as far as a wrestling match. No.
Who was stronger?
I'm saying his experience just makes him better.
Who was stronger, Ali or Foreman?
Foreman.
Who won the fight?
Ali.
Based on what? Foreman he was
based on the fact that Ali was much smarter than Foreman and let Foreman punch himself out.
Hey.
I just said Francis, a more relaxed and composed fighter in better condition.
I heard you.
Because of the experience that he's had in the 5 fights since fighting Stipe.
How many rounds has he gone total since he fought Stipe?
I don't know, but any rounds makes him more experienced than it was the last time they fought, bro.
And it makes Stipe more experienced because he's going 3.
Absolutely.
Right. So,
absolutely. But guess what? It doesn't make Stipe. It doesn't enhance any of his physical abilities. Stipe's not getting stronger. He's not getting faster. So we know that Francis was faster and stronger in the first fight. The difference was Stipe stuck to a game plan and he wore Francis down.
Believe you me, I'd love to see Francis win the fight. I just
have about Francis win the fight.
I just have not seen Francis. Again, I've seen him, but I haven't seen him do anything different. Now, you're talking about his conditioning. Great. All right. You're conditioned now. You feel like you're in better shape, but you still haven't had to go out of round 1 or round 2.
Do you know what Francis Ngannou is, bro? Francis Ngannou he's Derek Lewis 2.0. What have we seen Derek Lewis improve other than being better conditioned? He's just a better, more conditioned, more committed fighter, and he's better for it. Okay. Still a one-trick pony.
I hear you.
Still just a right-hand puncher. But guess what? He's in better shape. So guess you can't do now. You can't take him down as easy as you could before. That's all I'm asking for Francis.
He also has not fought the best fighter in the division either. Stipe's got a full rounded game, bro. again, I know when Francis, if he's in better conditioning, he'll have more opportunities to hit Stipe. I get that.
That's all I'm talking about. He's not going to be a better, more complete fighter.
He needs a more complete game. You and I both said it after we saw him lose. He needs to really have a more complete game. He needs to learn takedown defense. He needs to really start using his jab a lot more. He needs to set up that right hand. You and I both said it on the show.
And I'm agreeing with you that those things, takedown defense, I'm sure he's worked on, but I know it's just gonna be better because he's in better shape. If I'm not tired, it's just gonna be hard for you to take me down anyway, especially when I'm already bigger and stronger than you, which Francis clearly is. You talk about throwing a jab. Well, he was doing that. He's been doing how to throw a jab since he's learned how to fight. Now, whether he uses it or not, it is on him. That's not a new skill set he has to learn. I don't need Francis to do anything for this fight than just be in better shape and be a more relaxed and composed fighter. Just like when I see Derek Lewis fight, I know Derek Lewis isn't going to grow a skill set, but you got to be in great shape when you fight Stipe, and you better be ready for a long night. That's all we can ask these guys because they're not going to change skill sets.
What I've learned,
Stipe ain't gonna get stronger.
What I've seen,
Stipe ain't gonna get quicker.
What I've seen with Derek Lewis is, as Derek has gotten in, even before he got in better shape, Derek Lewis started doing something. He threw his jab rarely, occasionally when he first started. He was relying on that right hand. Derek Lewis throws the jab now a lot better than he used to. Derek Lewis actually has some takedown defense. And you're right, a lot of it came along with conditioning. So Derek Lewis is Derek Lewis is a much better fighter now than he was 3 years ago.
Right. And is Derek Lewis a jabber? He is not, right?
But he throws a jab.
Because he understands how it just sets up his right hand. He ain't got to be great at it. I can just be better, just a little bit better. And maybe my little bit better is because I just throw it. My technique may be wrong. It may not be a textbook jab, but hey, guess what? It's just something that you got to look at, right? And now I follow with that right hand. That's not something that you have to, it doesn't take a PhD to do that. Conditioning and repetition. That's not a skill set he had to learn. He's been doing it since he's been fighting. He just, for whatever reason, refused.
You've got to learn how to let it go in the fight. I mean, again, we also talk about Francis needed a better corner because his corner wasn't giving him any advice against Stipe.
Here's what I find interesting. How many times has Francis lost since Stipe? None.
And
he's had, 5 fights?
4, I think.
Doesn't matter.
Well, it did because you brought it up. Go ahead.
I'm saying the context that 4 or 5 doesn't matter. He's had multiple fights since his last fight. And he beat, who was it? He knocked the old boy's head off.
Rosenstrike?
No, well, him too. But no, who was that before? It wasn't Art. Who was it? The Brazilian heavyweight, right? Or was it Kane? Was it Kane Velasquez? One of them. Anyway, one of them, he got that ridiculous knockout on, right? So for me, reps, more fights. We've seen Stipe lose since he beat Francis. He got hit with an elbow and got knocked out. Stipe doesn't have great defense. He gets hit a lot. A lot. He got hit a lot by Daniel Cormier.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. In all 3 fights.
Mm-hmm. But Daniel is something different than Francis. Daniel's a thinking fighter.
So my only thing is bigger, stronger man who has just gotten better from experience.
We're taking the thinking capacity. We're taking the thinking capacity out.
But, I mean, you can say whatever you want about his thinking ability, bro. Whatever.
I'm saying Daniel Cormier is a more cerebral fighter than Francis Ngannou. Can you argue that point?
No, I can't. But guess what? I can also point out too that Daniel Cormier got beat by a bigger, stronger Stipe Miocic, a bigger, stronger man
who got better as they went on. Yes,
exactly. And I can't sit here and say that Francis Ngannou has not. I would be disingenuous in saying that.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see. That's all. That's what I'll say is we will see, because I don't
And we're
believe just
and
with
keep
getting
in
more
mind,
conditioning you're gonna beat Stipe Miocic. But So I
and
will
keep
wait.
and don't be disingenuous and say more conditioning. It's
That's what you
experience
said. More conditioning.
and more experience and a better
He
composed
hasn't
fighter.
fought anybody on Stipe's level. Anybody. So how are you gonna get more
And
experience to fight Stipe if you're fighting guys who wouldn't last as long as with Stipe as they would with you? That's like me saying, okay, I'm the number one contender. Let me just keep knocking off these people who don't even belong on my level, and it's going to give me more experience. And I'm doing the same freaking thing I did leading up to the first Stipe fight with these guys.
so, like I said, bro, the man got beat up over the course of 5 rounds, and Dana White made that man work his way back up into the front. Now, you can say whatever you want about who he fought. He knocked out Rosenstreich, who's probably the third or fourth best heavyweight currently right now. I put him Derek
Unfortunately,
Lewis,
yeah.
Saragon, Rosenstreich, Miocic, Ngannou, all these guys in the top 5. All these guys. So it doesn't really matter because it's top heavy, right? These are the only guys that matter at this point. So who else is he supposed to fight?
Was it Volkovsky or Volkov? I forgot his name.
Yeah, well, he might be. Nobody
He
thought he
is.
would come out to Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis knocked him out, right? But anyway,
It's in the fifth
all I'm
round.
saying
You're
is-
right. He was dead on
all
the
I'm
stool and
saying-
knocked him out.
all I'm saying is, I hope it's a better fight. I think you're trying to get what I'm saying confused with me thinking that Francis is going to win or Francis is a better fighter. I'm just simply making a compelling point for I think that this is an okay rematch. I'm not. You're talking about the man's intelligence and all these things like I'm siding with him. I'm just saying.
Whoa! I
that
said
because he's
we
because
always
he's
talk
3 years
about
removed.
fight IQs. That's what I brought in. That's what I brought. I didn't say he was a stupid
You
man.
get better with each and every fight you're in.
You're supposed
You
to.
learn more about yourself in each and every fight you're in. Francis Ngannou is the number one contender in the heavyweight division in the UFC. He's been fighting UFC heavyweights. Dana White and the powers that be, and whoever has a voice, have been watching Francis because they want. This is what you want. This is the dream matchup you want. A big white guy against a big black guy. This is what you want. This is going to sell. So I'm sure that Ngannou has to have gotten better because he has to have a product he has to sell. And I hope for Dana White's product, for Dana White, he's right because I want to see a good fight. I don't know who's going to win. We don't predict wins in this show. I just want to see a good fight. And the last fight went 5 rounds where Francis was clearly outgunned. So hopefully, at least it'll go 5 rounds this time, right? And just hopefully be more competitive. We'll see.
Keep hope alive, Jesse. Yeah, it's gonna be a decent card though. I'm gonna watch the fight. I would like to see Francis have a better showing. I really would. I like him. He's one of those guys that you know that if he gets the title, he's hard to prepare for. Stipe is gonna have an easier time preparing for him because he fought him before. But
the winners always do. Bro, check this out. One that you let slip your mind. We got a heavyweight fight across the pond this weekend, bro. You should forget about it. Povetkin against Dillian White 2.
mm-hmm.
This was all the rave last year when these two fought. It was a great fight until White got caught. Like, how did that happen? He got knocked out in tremendous fashion, so now he's back because, of course, this fight puts him back in line to fight Wilder. I don't know, but it's going to be a good fight because the last one was, bro, you interested?
Yeah, I'm interested. I'll definitely be tuning in.
It's on the zone. They've been kind of, they've been trying to keep it up lately.
They've been doing a good job.
A couple fights in. Yeah, I mean, look, they've been keeping Canelo busy. Anytime you get to see Canelo fight, we tune in.
That's the fight people keep coming up to me talking about. I mean, I went to Extreme Tacos the other day, and the owner was reminding me of the first Canelo Triple G fight. Talking about, you need to come watch the next Canelo fight here. We have the fights. You can just kick your feet up, and I'm like, oh, okay. Because he and I got in this argument that he said Canelo lost the first Triple G fight. shouldn't have been a draw. And I'm like, wow. I asked him, I said, do I need to help get your TV repaired? Because evidently you had some cracks in that screen. But yeah, it's interesting. I've had other people talk about that fight. It's like everybody wants to talk about the upcoming Canelo fight. And the sad thing is not everybody realizes who he's fighting. It's just we know Canelo's fighting on May 8th.
Okay.
So I'm looking. Go ahead.
No. I was gonna say because that's gonna be a good one. I know you're gonna be locked in for that Billy Joe Saunders fight. So I'm just curious. Did he talk about doing any other cards there? Like, I mean, do they have fights on? Is that what they do, or is he just a Canelo guy?
They have all the UFCs.
UFC. Okay.
Yeah. So and they open up I'm giving them free pub. They open up a brand new location just north of Hillsborough Avenue, off of Nebraska here in Tampa. They have some really good food though. I ain't gonna lie to you. They have some really good food, and they're not too expensive. So he explained, even though nachos are not Mexican, they make them as Mexican as they can. And I was like, huh? He said, yeah, nachos are an American thing. I was like, oh, I didn't know. I did not know. That's why in some traditional Mexican restaurants you go to, you will not find nachos. You'll find chips, tortilla chips with salsa and queso, but not what we call quote unquote nachos.
Okay, well, we just learned a lesson today. I didn't know that in that type of detail, but thank you for that, brother. It's good to know.
Save other people some embarrassment that I felt.
You actually said it?
When I didn't know, yeah. I was like, do y'all have any nachos? And they brought out tortilla chips and salsa. I forgot what restaurant I was at, but it was a little hole in the wall. And I was like, no, can I get and they were like, no, nachos are not Mexican. It's like, oh, it's a Mexican American thing, but it's not Mexican.
So, okay, but it wasn't like you made a statement and you spoke out of turn. You were just like, okay, got it. Okay.
I just felt kind of embarrassed.
Oh, okay, self-embarrassment. Okay, got you. All right, cool.
No, I didn't walk up in there and go, yo, heathens, where the nachos? No, I didn't do that.
Man, I don't know, but you made it sound like when you said embarrassed, it's like, oh, man, did you actually go in there and say something? Which reminds me of the time I was in a department store, bro.
Here we go.
Not to get off track. Yeah, I don't really have stories often, but this is, befitting. I was in a department store, bro, and the young lady was ringing me out, and as pleasant as she was, bro, and she had a bump showing. Uh-oh. And I was like, oh, man, that's dope, man. I'm so happy for you. I know you're expecting. She says, no, I'm just fat. So, yeah, sometimes you speak out of turn, bro. So it happens to the best of us, bro. So.
Yeah. I just blame it on my vision problem. That's what I do, because I've done that before. I was in college, and this girl, I hate doing this. When somebody goes through their friend, hey, my friend girl likes you. Okay, we're not in junior high school. Why didn't she come over and say something? But then she called me and we went out on a date. And I was like, wow, I've never dated a pregnant chick before. So I'm asking these questions, beating around the bush about, is the father still going to be in the child's life, or are you dating because you're looking for? And then she finally realized where I was going, and she was like, I'm not pregnant. And it's very uncomfortable because we were a good distance from where I lived and I was riding with her. But the fortunate thing was the woman who was waiting on our table came over and congratulated us on our expecting child. So at least it wasn't just me. She almost cussed her out, but I realized this relationship wasn't going any further than this first date anyway at this point.
I guess, bro, before we let the Virgil Ortiz Jr. fire burn out from a good performance this past weekend, bro, against Maurice Hooker, bro, so are we supposed to buy into the hype? We glossed over a little bit yesterday, but are we supposed to buy into the hype that Virgil is ready for any of the guys in the top 5?
You've got to at this point.
Yeah.
We have no choice. He's got to now be given a fight with one of those guys. and then we can see for
So,
ourselves.
so you put him in there with any of the guys in the top 5. So let's see. So Abel Ramos, who knocked out Brian Perella in the last seconds of that fight.
But was losing.
A Brian Perella. Oh no, he's 154 now. I'm sorry, can't put him in there now. I can't. It's some other guys want to run off Jerron Ennis. It's a few guys that want to run off. Bro, you think that we should throw him in there with a top 5 though?
I didn't say he would win, but I'm saying the momentum that he had before the Hooker fight and the momentum he gained after the Hooker fight, as you like to say, for business purposes, yeah, I throw him in there with a top 5 fighter. Especially since fans are coming back. Yes.
And how old is Ortiz? 20, 21?
Something like that. How old is Shakur Stevenson?
So you want to throw him in there this young? Why? Okay. All right. Oh, interesting. Well, we'll see. They were talking about a Terrence Crawford fight based on how he performed.
Wait a minute. See, that's what I was going to say. I was afraid that was going to happen, that you were going to fast track him to a title and not against a top 5 fighter. And a lot of
he's
times,
a top ranked fighter, bro.
He is.
Golden Boy. So I mean, they do business with top rank all the time. It just makes sense.
But a lot of times they do this, and you hurt a kid's career. And
bro,
you do it because no, I said top 5 fighter. Bud is that much better. Bud is that much better than anybody below him. On the top ranked card on the Golden Boy on the roster, he's that much better,
bro.
It's different.
I'm just simply saying, bro. They know just like we know where all the guys at 147 reside at. So for business purposes, it is much easier, and they have a better history of doing business together. So again, if he's ready for anybody at 147, who you think he gonna get first?
Yeah, that's the bad part, because instead of letting him go against 5 or 4 or 3 just to see if he's ready for that title shot. And I understand why they wouldn't do it, because if he gets beat by 5, 4, or 3, now he's got to go back and start and work his way back up. He loses that momentum. But for his health, I would put him in against number 5 or number 4, whoever that is. I don't even know if he's ready for Boots Ennis.
Bro, and that's why I found interesting when you said, "Oh, I'm like, bro."
But I would put him in there. To me,
but bro, but listen, but I'm thinking about what you just said, right? You said, "I don't think you're ready for Boots Ennis," bro. Could you imagine this kid trying to fight Sean Porter? Like, just think about that for a minute. Like, really? You talk for his health. Man, Sean Porter will maul this kid right now.
Maybe it's a lesson he needs. What is he going to gain? What is he going to gain by fighting Bud except an L? He might take something from that. He might take something from the Porter fight.
L.
He'll take an L, but he might take something
and a bunch
from
of elbows and headaches.
Right, but he'll learn. He's like, oh, this is different. Oh, wow, okay.
Man,
but he gets in there with Bud. He ain't gonna learn nothing. But I shouldn't have been in here. That's what he's gonna learn from Bud.
Man, look,
I guess it looks better on your resume. It looks better on your resume when you listen to the commentators who know nothing when they say, "Hey, he's had a world champion. He's been in against the best in the world at an early age, and that gave him." No, I don't buy that. Sometimes it can mess up your psyche. The kid can really understand that. Oh my goodness, I don't belong here. And to me, that can mess up your psyche. But you know,
hey man, it's a lot of good prospects out there, bro. That's knocking on doors. We said the same thing about Brandon Lee out his outstanding knockout last week. So yeah, we want to throw him right there with some of the guys at 140. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they move these guys' careers, bro. But I figured that would be a good way to kind of put a button on these things, because I figured you would kind of have a lot of thoughts on that. So
yeah, I would like to see Ortiz fight, and he's got a big fan base. I mean, he's got a lot of momentum, bro. He just
of course.
But don't stick him in there with Bud. Bud will kill you just because you're in there.
Interesting fact. I didn't know the kid didn't speak Spanish. Who knew, huh?
With the name. Well, Virgil's a black name, but Ortiz?
Yeah.
You know what's funny?
I mean, you know what's Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, but that's probably not as uncommon as we like to think it is, bro.
I was going to say Mark Sanchez, when he went to USC as their quarterback, he had to learn how to speak Spanish so he can identify with the Spanish media and the culture.
Yep, it is. Yeah, I've heard of a few kids that come from Spanish households that don't speak Spanish. So yeah.
And a lot of the logic is we want you to assimilate with Americans. We don't want you to speak English or American with a Spanish tongue.
That's crazy.
It is.
That might have been cool. That might have made sense 20 years ago.
No,
you're insane.
Not even
now.
20. Not even 20 years ago.
Well, depending on when you were.
I was gonna say in Florida, it didn't even make sense 30 years ago.
Right. Well, here, check this out. 20 years ago, in Central Florida, it was like, okay. In South Florida was always a way of life. Like growing up in South Florida, you almost learn Spanish just because. Like you start getting up into North Florida.
Yeah.
You start getting up into North Florida, then. So when I say now you would be crazy not to, yes, pretty much worldwide. It's like Visa now, right? It's everywhere now. But 20 years ago in Florida, depending on where you was at, you got to tread lightly.
Listen, I was taking Spanish, and I took French in college, but a friend of mine had Rosetta Stone. So I said, I need to learn Spanish because there's a chick I like in my acting class, and she's new. And she came in that semester. I was like, oh. So I wanted to impress her so bad. Her last name was Velasquez. I won't put her first name out there. Bro, I learned how to say some things, and I came up to her one day. She needed help learning how to do the lighting rig. So I volunteered to go over and help her learn how to tie the knots and do the lighting rig. And I started speaking to her in Spanish. And she was like, dude, I don't understand that. And I'm like, am I not saying it correctly? She said, you could be. I just don't speak Spanish. I was like, what? She said, yeah, my name came from my dad and my mom raised me. And she said, I'm from South Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Mom was white and lived in South Georgia. And nobody in her area spoke Spanish. She laughed. She goes, people always do that. They want to impress me and they start speaking. She said, but I like your technique. If I spoke Spanish, I think you're saying it correctly. I'm like, my goodness. Yeah, another embarrassing moment. But we went out on a date.
Okay, all right. Hey man, everybody know you a player, man. We know where you from, bro.
No, I was never a player.
You turned in your card a couple of decades ago. No, yeah,
I was never a player. Players use the same techniques and they're confident and in the game, and I never had game.
So put your spin on it. What was your angle? You wasn't a player. What were you, just a good guy? Just a nice guy?
I wasn't a player. I just crushed a lot.
Hey, and there it is. That's all we got for the day, bro. Go ahead, man. We up against it, man. What we got?
Well, on this note, I'm probably going to just say have a nice day. Shout out to the Queen Mother for watching. Shout out to my pops. Shout out to my sister, my nieces, my brother, my niece, my cousins. Prayers are still going out to Miss Audrey Yalbray, who watches the show. She had a procedure done the other day, a bypass, and our prayers are still with you. Shout out to the Lipinski family again. We're praying for you for your healing. Because anytime you lose somebody, it's tough. And when you lose when his dad was 78 and to bury his son who was 51, you can see the hurt all over his face. And hopefully I'm not out of line saying this. If I am, bro, please forgive me. But I give a shout out and condolences to Mario's family.
Will do, brother. Will do.
So, somebody just piped in here with a question. Oh, hi. Okay, I thought it was gonna be some profound words. Let me shut up. You say people lose their power and what? With age?
The reaction time.
Yeah, no, she has not lost a bit. No.
It's because she's not aging.
Right.
Listen, we want to thank y'all for checking in with us today, man. We appreciate everybody in Fighters Nation for rocking with us. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time. and we'll be looking just as good tomorrow. And we'll have a little more sunshine to show. We'll see y'all, man. Spread a little love, man. We out of here. Financial Nation Beats.
And you know what? We're very happy because we were actually able to see your face on this show. Well, some of us.
That keeps on giving.
Some of us were happy. Yeah, it really gives me release when I'm constipated.